Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for March 24th, 2019. So this was a really good reading week in the fact that I finished my Mammoth, my second Mammoth. So I've done what I said I would do. And it's a book that it's the oldest on my TBR, so that is great to get something off that's been there for over 20 years. Anyway, so finally. And then, I just started, I have a couple other things I'm going to finish up hopefully, or one thing I'm going to finish up again, hopefully later today. And then some stuff I think I'm going to read for the last week of March Mystery Madness, because I have been so focused on my Marching Mammoths that, and then there was Translate-a-thon earlier in the month that I just have not had time to read many mysteries. So I'm hoping this last week that I will at least get a few of them out. So I'll share with the one that I've started as well as the one I think I'm going to read afterwards, and then we'll see what happens. So first let's talk about my Mammoth that I finished, and that was 20 Years After by Alexander Dumas. This was translated by David Coward. This book is the oldest book unread on my TBR. That I bought myself, not like from a class that maybe I didn't finish, but like I bought this intending to read it, and then I just never have. So I finally read it. This is the second book in the D'Artagnan romances. I am so excited that I got through this book and that I get to continue the series. It's something I've always wanted to read. I don't know why I put it off for so long. I think I was intimidated by the size, or that I wouldn't like it as much as The Three Musketeers. And I reread The Three Musketeers last year in order to prep myself for this, because it's, again, I read it about every 10 years I read The Three Musketeers. So, and every time I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the next one, and I just never did. So this time I made it. I did it. So, I am so glad I read this. This was just as much fun as Three Musketeers. It has this weird political messed up history, because Alexander Dumas is not the most correct in his timelines, which usually is something that really sets me off. But for some reason, because I don't know the history very well, it was easier for me to let that go and just go with the ride, because the ride was fun. These, again, the Musketeers are, well, again, this is 20 years later, so they've all moved on and done other things. And life has happened, and they kind of had drifted apart, and then D'Artagnan still is with the guard, so he wants to move up, and he kind of makes a deal with the new cardinal, Marazin. I don't know how you say that, his name, but anyway, it's a different cardinal, but he's not the same as Richelieu, which was one of my favorite villains, because he's not he's got good reasons for being a villain. Anyway, that's my whole Three Musketeers thing. Anyway, but so this is a little different because it's a different kind of cardinal that's kind of playing off of them. And then there's all these historical events that happens for a war, civil war within France, as well as when Charles I was dethroned. So I had no idea what I was doing getting into this. I totally recommend just diving in. It was just as much fun. And again, you just have to laugh at some of this stuff. And it's just, I love all these characters. It's just, they're so much fun. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gushing now. So I love this book. Definitely a 5-star for me, no doubt. Yeah, there's a few, as I said, there's a few problems. But again, you have to understand it was serialized. And again, Alexander Dumas was not very good at keeping to exact history. But it was still fun. And the notes in here were fantastic. Now, there was a few times I was kind of spoiled for something, but not to the point where it ruined the story, just ruined the history, because I didn't know the history, but that was on me because I don't know a lot of French history, or even all the things that happened when Charles I left the throne. Anyway, so it was, I did learn a lot that way. They had really good notes to talk about what actually happened. So I really appreciated that with these editions. That was really good. I mean, I'm glad I had this edition for over 20 years. Anyway, so I'm hoping to pick up the next one. The Viscount de la Bragelonne, I think is how it's said. I'm not positive, but I'm hoping to pick that up in a couple of months. Like I'm hoping June. So here's my little plan. I'm horrible. I try to plan stuff all the time. This is not going to happen, but I kind of want to read the next, I want to try to finish the core 5 by the end of the year. I don't know if I can do it. They're all over 600 pages. The rest of them. This was 845, and the rest of them are all high 600s. But I thought if I'd split it up every 3 months, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that many Mammoths in the same series, but we'll see. I want to at least do 1 or 2 more this year. If I can get the 3 that are in the main series, because there's another book that was a sequel to the Three Musketeers that came out at the end of his life. He was writing it when he died. So it's not, I don't think it's complete. I don't know. I have that really big tome on Mammoth on my shelf too, but I'm not counting. I don't want to do that this year. I'm hoping that one I can do next year. But I thought if I get through this series, I would finish a series out that I've been wanting to read forever. They're all huge though, so we'll see how my reading goes. But as I said, I want at least, of the 3 that I have left in the main series, I would like to read at least 1 or 2 of those more this year. I'm so glad I read this. I'm so glad. I mean, I was going to do it anyway this year, but the Marching Mammoths made me pick it up in March because it was a Mammoth, and I'm so glad I got it done, because I might have kept pushing it off all year like I did last year, or every year that I've ever tried to read this. So I'm so glad I read that, and I would totally, if you like the Three Musketeers or are scared to try the Three Musketeers, it is so much fun. So they're just fun. I just said, don't take, they're serious points, and there are highs and lows, and it has all that. The ride is incredible. I don't know, I'm just gushing now, but I just really enjoy it. I would, again, never say it is those are perfect books. Alexander Dumas is not very tight on his timelines, and history. But it's just fun. It's fun. And look, I finally got one for Reading Through the Ages. This year has not gone the way I planned on that. So I at least got one. I don't think it counts for anything because it's the 1640s. I don't think it counts for anything except for a wild card, but at least I got one. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I got at least one historical fiction done. It's just taken forever. Anyway, so I'm almost done with my reread of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Again, you should all be reading this because Steve said it is mandatory. So I'm almost done. I have 50 pages left. Last night I just fell asleep reading it. I was tired. My family and my parents and I and my great aunt, we went wine tasting. So I was a little tired. And I didn't read too much. Anyway, so I'm hoping to finish this today and then watch I think he'll have one more video on it because it was split into 4. I really enjoyed this reread. It was probably the closest I read it in a little while. I think the last time I just read my favorite parts and went through, but this time I'm really rereading it, reading it all the way through, and I'm catching so many things I forgot, which is always fun. Again, this is one of my favorite books, and I'm enjoying Steve's his videos. So you should, Steve Donahue, of course, you know who I'm talking about. I'm sorry. You should be watching his videos because you should be watching, or should be reading Pride and Prejudice right now. So you should be watching his videos on Sundays. Anyway, so I'm gonna finish that up today so I can get the last one, and I'm so excited. It was a perfect time for me to read this. I've been wanting to for a while, and I just hadn't made the time, and this really worked out for me. So I loved rereading that. So, and as I said, I have 50 pages left, and again, I've read it, so I knew where it's going, and I'm not going to tell you about the plot because it's Pride and Prejudice, and everybody should know because they all should be reading as far as I am right now. They should be, yeah. Anyway, so after I finish that, I'm going to start a couple of March Mystery Madness books because I am so bad. This year, as I said, the Mammoths took over for me, and then Translate-a-thon was in there, so I had a couple there. So I've only read so far one book I would classify as a mystery, and it was kind of loosely because it was my one of the others books by Anne Bishop, because it's technically an urban fantasy, but there's always a mystery in it, so I counted it. So that's one. So I'm hoping to get at least 2 more this week, if not 3. But again, it just matters how I read. I read a lot last week too, trying to finish up 20 Years After. That was my focus, and which I did. I'm so glad. But so I'm gonna just talk about the 2 that I think for sure I'm gonna read in the next week, and then we'll see what I feel like. I got many mysteries on my shelf that I could read after this. So my first one is Loyalty and Death by J.D. Robb. This is number 9 in the In Death series. This is the one Cooper chose for me from the tag, the Cats and Books tag. So this is the book I'm picking up next. I actually read the first chapter yesterday when I was waiting for my parents to pick me up. Anyway, this is again futuristic kind of cop drama with some romance thrown in. I really enjoy these books. As I said, I really like the beginning books. I've read those a couple of times. So now I'm like trying to get past it, because again, the last book, Conspiracy of Death, kind of put me in a halt. Like, it was a hard book for me to read just because it hit on some of the triggers that I don't like in some books. You know, it's not its fault. It was just my stuff. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna get through a few more this year. I'm 40 books behind, so it's gonna be a while before I catch up completely on this. But I do like to get farther into them, because it is a series that my mom reads, and so it's nice that if I can read a little bit farther and be able to talk to her more about it, would be nice. But I'm so far behind we can't yet. So I'm gonna work on that. But anyway, I'm gonna read this this week. This one, so there's not so much happening. There's some kind of grand conspiracy going on. Like, people are, I think someone's making bombs. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. It's probably going to be explosive at some point. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And then the other book that I hope to get done before the end of March, so at least one more, is Dan Rhodes' Mysteries. It's Dead to Begin With by Bill Kreider. This is, I think, did I say it was 24? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I think it's 24 out of 25. So I think that's right. It's close to that. It's the second to last book. So as I said, I just got the last book. So I'm letting myself read this book, and then sometime this year I want to read the last book, because Bill Kreider passed away last year. So again, it's one of my favorite mystery series that I've been reading since the early 90s. I think it started in the late 80s, but I found it in the early 90s, and I've been reading ever since. So this is, as I said, this is pretty far into the series, but again, these are quick reads. They're small town Texas county sheriff and his deputies and all the people in the town, the government, as well as and the town, little towns and around there. And then there's a community college, and then there's the businesses out on the freeway. It's like a cute, again, it's a county, so there's all these problems that would be county-wide, but it's small town kind of stuff. So I love this this sheriff. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. So anyway, this is number 20. I'm pretty sure it's number 24, and I'm going to read that hopefully this week. So I have a couple other backup books that I want to read. There's a reread of a Mary Stuart that I want to do, or that's of course would be a mystery. And of course I have a couple other mysteries I picked up along the way. I know I would like to get to. It's just I'm not sure what my mood will be like, because that's a couple books down the road and I can't tell. So anyway, so I did really well with my Marching Mammoths. As I said, I got 2. I did Washington Alive by Ron Chernow, and then I did 20 Years After. So I'm so excited that I got those 2 done. Now I'm gonna dive into my mysteries after I finish my reread of Pride and Prejudice, like you all should be reading right now. So other than that, I think that's it. How are you guys doing? What are you reading? Did you guys have fun with the Marching Mammoths? How's your March Mystery Madness going? Because again, I'm a little behind on this, and I'm hoping to at least get a couple more titles in before the end of the month. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.